Hey guys, today I want to talk about selling your Pokemon investments before it's too late, especially the garbage ones. And I've taken some time before making this video so I could take some of my own advice because I really don't want to be stuck with a boatload of crap either. And so over the last month, I've begun really selling off as much as I could, at full market value for anything that I don't want to hold long term, and I've been redistributing the capital. I think in the last month I've sold like $40,000 of old inventory that were miscellaneous boxes, whatever. Even good things like I've sold 151 UPCs, I've sold blooming water boxes, just because I wanted to move the capital into things with more upside. And so, first of all, you definitely should be selling all your garbage if you own any ancillary products like random tins, random decks. You should definitely be selling those. But on top of that, I would even ask you to consider selling some of your really good products that have already appreciated a lot. I've spoken about this before. It's mainly with the theme of a price ceiling where a lot of people are not able to pay the price anymore. So a lot of people are priced out. For example, a 151 Pokemon Center ETB is running upwards of $1,500 to $2,000 now, and a lot of people just don't have that kind of money to spend on one ETB. So if you sold that now when the market's high, and instead you bought, you know, 10 Ascended Heroes ETBs, you might be doing a lot better. And so I've really been trying to follow this philosophy, and I wanted to make a big emphasis on not just selling, but also still buying, better things than not just completely selling out. So the point of this isn't to, to just liquidate everything and run away, because I still have very high conviction in Pokemon cards. It's not that anything has changed there, but as the market continues to race up, at some point you're gonna have to sell. You're gonna think about exiting, or at least you need to move some of the product to return some of your capital, unless you already are filthy rich and you don't need the money. So for people who are in it at least to any degree for the money, at some point you should be considering selling even your good investments. And so that really, for me, that consists of selling even my 151, some of my Evolving Skies, some of Crown Zenith, anything that is currently very high and I think is fairly valued, I would sell it. And I was putting the money into other things, like recently bought a ton of different collection boxes. There's a bunch of Ascended Heroes collection boxes, have the new Focus Fighters boxes here, bought from some people who had bulk on Facebook because whatever, they got it from the drop. And also we have you know I bought like 30 of these First Partner Series 2 collections. All these new products that have, that are priced either really well or at least at a fair price, I think right now, that are not too expensive, that a lot of people can afford, is exactly what I'm targeting right now to redistribute my capital in. Especially with boxes like Focus Fighters, we see a trend time and time again, just like with the heavy hitters boxes, these boxes that like Costco and Sam's Club release, and Walmart, if whatever they release in mass scale, usually it hits the market, just floods the market with supply. And if you buy within the first 1 or 2 weeks of when these huge drops happen, they're gonna be like, ridiculously cheap, because a lot of people who are buying, a lot of scalpers, resellers, they want to just offload the product right away. And if you're just patient for like a month or 2 months, you can like double your money, make at least 50% profit on those boxes just by buying at market price, because the price just suddenly tanks with all that supply flooding the market. People who have 100+ boxes are trying to offload all their boxes at once. So it's a really great opportunity. And so you only get this capital from selling your older investments, unless, yeah, unless you have some ridiculous stream of income. But it's really worth it for two reasons. So first of all, for your good investments, anything that's already performed well, like your 151, like your Prismatic Evolutions, whatever it is, even if it does have continued potential upside in the future, it's just far less likely to grow at the same percentage rate. And what I mean by that is, you might have a 151 PCDB at $1,500 right now, and in the next year it might grow to, let's say it grows to $1,600 or $1,700. You made, you maybe made $200, but as a percentage, that's only like 20%, 10-20% gain, 10-20% gain on the holding in the year. But if you bought, Focus Fighters boxes right now for like 200 market, and in a year it goes up $100, then you made a 50% gain. Or if it goes up $200, you made a 100% gain. You doubled your money. And so you might end up with the same dollar appreciation on the products, but the percentage is far higher for the lower priced items. And why that's important is because your same $10,000 can buy 50 $200 boxes, but your $10,000 can only buy, you know, 7, 8 of the $1,500 boxes. And that means that that means that your capital is just working so much better, even with the current winners. So that's a clear distinction. Even with the current winners, your capital is working so much better if you reallocate it into newer products that have far more potential. So I always live with the philosophy that if you can never go wrong taking gains, because there's always more opportunities somewhere else. So a lot of people are like, I need to be in this investment for 10 plus years or whatever, blah blah blah. That's great for you, but sometimes, especially if you're running a business and not just holding forever, you need cash flow, first of all. Second of all, it just makes more financial sense. And if you're more proactive and you have the time, then just make those decisions to move your capital from, one investment to another. You can hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and when it's really hit like a ceiling, just move it to something else with more potential. And it's quite clear to see the ceiling. It's like a lot of sets like hidden fates. Yes, it's definitely going to keep rising in the future, but for now it's at like a temporary ceiling where it doesn't really move much, far less than the modern products, right? And then to the second most important part of this video, because this is something that's quite obvious, but I feel like a lot of people don't follow because of the sunk cost fallacy. And so please consider selling your garbage investments. So for everything like, your collection boxes, your tins, all these ancillary products, you might as well sell them off, because they really don't have any upside at all. Like, it's beyond, a lack of liquidity. For all the good products that have hit, their near ceiling where they can't really appreciate more, those products, yes, you can still hold them, and if you do hold them, you're still going to make money. And so although it's far less liquid, it's not a bad choice. It's just not the best choice. But for anyone with garbage investments, like these battle decks, like these random tins, random collection boxes, they're one off. You have like 50 random collection boxes, not even 50 of the same collection boxes. You're probably living in the sunk cost fallacy where you already sunk your money in there. Maybe you're turning a loss right now and you just can't bring yourself to sell it. But one of the smartest things that I've ever heard is that you don't have to make the money back where you lost it. You could have spent $100 on a tin and it went down to $50. It's still better to take that $50 and put it into Ascended Heroes if Ascended Heroes is going to go up, but the tin, is just going to sit there for the next 5 years. Maybe you will make the money back in 5 years and it goes back to the $100 you paid, but it's just not worth waiting that time where you're just paying the opportunity cost of putting the capital somewhere else. And of course, on a small scale, that makes not a big difference. If you have a $50 tin that went down $10 and you're just holding on to it because you want to sell out at least your entry price. Yeah, it's not a big deal. But if you're actually doing it on a large scale where you have, 50 different tins, 50 different collection boxes, 50 theme decks, you're just burning money in terms of opportunity cost, in terms of uh, potential, the time value of money. You really should just consider selling off immediately. So that's the one biggest thing, because you need to not get stuck in the sunk cost fallacy and know that you can make the money back somewhere else. It's okay to lose. Just take it and move it somewhere else, because there's always better opportunities. And especially in this current market, you have no excuse to say that there's no better opportunities. There's so many opportunities everywhere to make better purchases and investments, holds, whatever. And then that's the first part. You definitely got to do that. Second part, even consider selling your winners, because now is an excellent time to exit. Almost never do you get the opportunity to exit at, you know, 95, 100% of market. We're in a time where you're able to sell things for 100% market value fast. They're liquid. And so why would you not take this chance? Yes, it can keep going up, but at the end of the day, if you need to eat food, you can buy that with money. You're not buying that with your whole, no matter how much they go up. And so if in 1 year they crash and they're not liquid anymore, what are you going to do? It's never wrong to take gains. So consider both of those, but especially please sell your garbage investments. But doesn't mean completely selling out of the hobby and running away. It just means move them into better investments. But that's it for this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Subscribe to join the journey.